Subscribe to our channel and also press the bell icon to never miss an update from Kautilya's Fincast.
Welcome to Kautilya's Fincast for March 21st to 31st, 2021.
Let's begin with corporate news.
The report said, LG Electronics last month halted the development of phones with a rollable display and had shelved a planned first half rollout of all new smartphones. The Czech automaker plans to launch 4 products, including the recently unveiled compact SUV Kushaq, over the next year in India. Citigroup Incorporated Chief Executive Officer Jane Fraser has barred scheduling meetings outside of what were normal working hours and encouraged vacations to combat workplace malaise brought on by the coronavirus pandemic. Indian startups, including Grofers and Walmart-owned e-commerce giant Flipkart, have been considering a SPAC route to list in the US market, amongst many others. Unacademy's platform will help Handa Ka Funda reach a larger number of students. The collaboration with Ravi Handa will further strengthen Unacademy's leadership position in the MBA test preparation market. The idea of rebranding was to set an instant recognition for the larger company that houses brands that sell to millions of households in several countries. A company executive said, Jubilant Foodworks will develop, establish, own and operate Popeyes restaurants in India, Bangladesh, Nepal and Bhutan in the coming years. Packaged foods company Bikano has launched several new savory snacks in the market, in an attempt to capture more consumers in the Hindi-speaking belt of northern India, with an eye on an additional 75 crore in sales next fiscal. The satellite communications company aims to have a total of 648 low Earth orbit satellites, as part of its plan to deliver high-speed and low-latency broadband services globally. Mercedes-Benz India Private Limited, the new variant of the A-Class limousine, in the domestic market at the price of 39.90 lakh rupees for petrol, and 40 rupees and 90 paise for the diesel engine variant. Mahiko Monsanto Biotech, a joint venture between Monsanto and India's Maharashtra Hybrid Seeds Company, had been at loggerheads with the NSL and the Indian government over how much it could charge for its genetically modified cotton seeds. JSW Steel plans to achieve 45 million tons per annum capacity well before its target of 2030, as it marks its foray into the eastern region of the country, with the acquisition of Bhushan Power and Steel Limited. Once a dazzling unicorn valued at $47 billion, WeWork began to unravel as the firm lost cash and cancelled a planned 2019 share offering, with the ex-CEO pushed out, albeit with a generous package. Hungama Music has tied up with Dolby for its immersive surround sound technology called Dolby Atmos that offers more clarity and depth to the music. India Grid Trust, an infrastructure investment trust, has completed the acquisition of an 830-circuit power transmission project in the northeast, at an enterprise value of 4,625 crore from Sterlite Power. Czech automaker Skoda is not likely to drive in its electric car in India anytime soon, as it thinks the market is not ready for such vehicles, due to high acquisition cost, as compared with internal combustion cars. The wireless product, called Giga Mesh, could enable telecom operators to deploy quality, high-speed rural telecom infrastructure at 5 times lower cost. Uber bought AutoCab for an undisclosed amount in August to allow it to link people in locations where Uber services are inaccessible. With this, Amazon plans to up its ante in the Kirana tech space, as it would now leverage Purple's cloud-based point-of-sale, offering ultra point-of-sale, and offer a new suite of technology products. The company will use Volkswagen as an exterior badge on all EV models, and gas vehicles will only have the VW emblem. The revised name takes effect in May. Apple's manufacturing partners are joining the company's drive to become carbon neutral by 2030. The company announced that 110 of its manufacturing suppliers, including those in India, will be moving to 100% renewable energy for the production of Apple's products. HAL has had no business dealings with Myanmar Defense Forces from 2017 to 2019. HAL did not have any business dealing, even after 2019, with Myanmar till date, a spokesman said.
Let's begin with market news.
India will look for alternative sources of crude oil to ensure a sustained supply of fuel and the inflationary impact of rising crude, and its impact on consumers and the economy, US government bond yields rose sharply, as the Federal Reserve wouldn't extend a temporary rule that encouraged banks to hold treasury. But then yields retreated as investors debated how significant the hit would be to debt markets. Bank of Maharashtra is seeking bids for rupee-denominated Tier 2 notes, in a sale that will be closely watched, to gauge demand from mutual funds, the biggest buyer of such debt. MobiKwik System Private, the Indian digital wallet and payments startup, is targeting an initial public offering before September that could raise between $200 million and $250 million. Adani Green Energy Limited hit 2 trillion rupees in market capitalization on 23rd of March 2021. Having soared nearly 870% in the last year, it is now the most valued in Adani Group. Banking stocks gained after the Supreme Court refused to interfere with the decision on the loan moratorium scheme and declined to extend the moratorium period. Bitcoin price slumped 6% to near $53,000 level after US Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell warned the people that they must realize the risks of investing in the world's oldest crypto asset and other digital tokens under the new rules notified by the Finance Ministry. Source of income and expenditure would be part of the annual report, as against the existing provision of presenting annual account statements separately. The uncertainty in the market continued as the second wave of COVID infections in India and a possible third wave in parts of Europe wreaked havoc on investor sentiments. The board of SEBI approved to ease norms for reclassification of a promoter as a public shareholder. Fresh concerns about companies from China being kicked off American exchanges have helped push an index of US-traded Chinese stocks into bear market territory. Shares of Hathway Cable and Den Networks plunged 10% and 7% respectively, as the company's offer for sale opened at the floor price of 25 rupees and 25 paise and 48 rupees and 50 paise respectively. DIIs have bought around 941 crore, turning buyers for the first time since October 2020, even after equity markets started falling on concerns of rising COVID-19 cases. Gold activity slowed, despite prices falling to near one-year lows. Meanwhile, premiums charged by dealers over official domestic prices also fell. Gold prices include 10.75% import duty and 3% GST. US-based cryptocurrency exchange, Coinbase, is planning to open an office in Hyderabad, even as uncertainty around the country's stance for the digital asset continues. The government is unlikely to take the zero-coupon bond route to further recapitalize public sector banks. After the Reserve Bank expressed some concerns in this regard, the government has made it mandatory for all Indian firms, unlisted and private, to disclose their dealings in cryptocurrency or virtual currency. The move is expected to boost the institutional adoption of crypto assets. Oil prices fell and traders breathed a sigh of relief after the giant container ship, Ever Given, that blocked the Suez Canal for almost a week was refloated. Shares of JSW Steel Limited hit a new 52-week high of 464 rupees on NSE, as the company completed the acquisition of Bhushan Power and Steel. It has become the largest steel company in India. Bitcoin price topped $59,000 level for the first time since 21 March, after PayPal allows US consumers to use their cryptocurrency holdings to pay at millions of its online merchants globally. SEBI reduced the timelines for a refund of investors' money to 4 days in case of non-receipt of minimum subscription. Ultratech Cement Limited has prepaid its long-term loans amounting to 5,000 crore. The loan repayments have been done through free cash flows that it has generated over the last few quarters.
Let's begin with economy news.
The international rating agency Moody's has upgraded its outlook for the growth of India's GDP from 9% to 12% in the current calendar year, due to more positive near-term prospects. Indian economy is forecast to grow 10.5% in the next fiscal, after contracting in the current fiscal, due to months of loss of the economic activity due to lockdowns. India must make a strong policy to commit to achieving net zero emissions. The exact time frame should be determined, based on careful analysis and dialogues with key stakeholders, attributing the increase to global demand for plastics goods, chemicals goods, engineering goods, and low-value lifestyle of the products, such as machine-made carpets and non-leather footwear. While output is slowly recovering in most global-scale economies, the depressing nature of the job market implies the production is not being backed up by adequate market demand. The Center for Monitoring Indian Economy data shows that the already low labor participation rates for women have shrunk even further after the pandemic to 11% compared to 71%. India's revival of economic activity is expected to be unabated despite a rise in coronavirus infections in many areas, and 2022 growth projections might not need to be cut. There is a restless urgency in the air in India to resume high growth, and incoming data point to even contact-intensive services such as personal care, recreation, and hospitality gathering traction. Stated by Rice cited high-frequency indicators such as Purchasing Managers Index, an indicator of the prevailing direction of economic trends in the manufacturing and service sectors, to point to India's recoveries. Stated robust risk identification and mitigation system in India's banks and non-banking finance companies to deal with any contingencies. Maintaining the health of the banking sector remains the top priority. India's economy is on the path of gradual recovery. Real GDP growth returned to positive territory, and it is supported by a pickup in the gross fixed capital formation. In January, IMF in its report projected the country's economic growth to be 11.5% in 2021. The IMF estimates that the country's economy could have shrunk by 8% in 2020. This comes in the backdrop of US crude oil exports to India jumping to 2.11 million metric tons in February, helping it dislodge Saudi Arabia as the second largest supplier to India. The economy of India largely depends on agriculture, and with a focus on the rural economy, Chhattisgarh has chalked out a detailed action plan and has initiated various schemes. The source of the money coming in the country, the kind of companies that are investing, since some of the investments were also associated with military activity or ownership. The RBI's Monetary Policy Committee has been mandated to maintain annual inflation at 4% until March 31, 2021, with an upper tolerance of 6% and a lower limit of 2%. The economists see a bumpy road ahead given that Maharashtra, which contributes 14.5% to the country's GDP, is among the worst hit and accounts for the majority of cases. India's consumption demand and business activity looked steady in February, although chances of a strong recovery appear doubtful after a sharp surge in virus cases and increasing risk of renewed lockdowns. Due to COVID and the pandemic situations, an additional 89 million people in the Asia-Pacific region could have been pushed back into the extreme poverty situations, leading to a fallback of the economy. The UNESCAP, undertaken by the UN's Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, said that the lockdown in India caused economic disruptions that burdened 2020. The price of steel has gone up by 33% since April 2020. Due to a strong surge in the demand from the US, Europe, China, and some emerging markets, the March quarter numbers are expected to be strong, and there is a general expectation that the next 2 years should see strong earnings growth from Indian companies.